Hi friends, I hope you are all doing well. In this video, we will talk about a miracle that a young child who is only between 7 or 8 years old can do something that everyone is surprised to hear. The real purpose of life is to understand the universe. And you will know at the end of the video where God is and which people he supports. If you like this video of mine, then at the end it must be liked, subscribed, and shared with others. So let's start the video. They hadn't expected it, not from a child, not from a boy who was too young, not from the son of a man whose name, like Tesla, Newton, and Prometheus, is whispered in the same breath, asterisk. But there he stood strong, in a way that had nothing to do with age. His hands trembled slightly, as if the universe itself were pouring something heavy from his chest. And then he said, God ... is not above us. God is the moment when you choose not to give up. There was no applause at first, just silence, raw and electrified. Like the stillness before a rocket ignites. Asterisk, people don't understand how history bends. Asterisk, it doesn't always shift through thunder or war. Asterisk, sometimes it pivots on the fragile voice of a child. Speaking truth, adults are too tired to carry anymore. Asterisk, in that moment, something ancient cracked. Asterisk, something modern awakened. Asterisk, and something inside. Every soul listening began to burn, because what he said wasn't just a sentence. It was a mirror, a revolution. Remembering. Asterisk, you see, we've been conditioned to look up when we're lost. Asterisk, to pray upward, cry upward, search for answers in the sky. But the boy didn't point up. He pointed inward. Asterisk, and that changed everything. Because that is the battlefield no one sees. The space between what you feel and what you do. Asterisk. The silent war between comfort and greatness. Asterisk, between the voice that says you were born for more. ... Asterisk. And the one that whispers, you should be afraid. Asterisk, but belief. Asterisk. True belief isn't about comfort. It's about clarity. Asterisk. It's knowing that God, the universe, destiny, whatever name you choose, doesn't owe you anything. ... Asterisk. But has already given you everything you need. Asterisk, you want to build something great? Asterisk, don't look at the sky. Look at your hands. Asterisk, look at the blisters, the bruises, the way your bones ache when you work longer than you're supposed to. Asterisk, God lives there, in effort, in resistance, in the refusal to stop. Asterisk, Henry Ford once said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Asterisk, but what if he meant more? Asterisk, what if he meant belief is the birthplace of God? Asterisk, that your thoughts are not just thoughts, but architects of the reality you have the courage to live. That boy, Elon Musk's son, he wasn't giving a speech. He was giving a map back to the self. Because what's missing from this generation isn't technology. It's not opportunity. It's depth, conviction. The brutal honesty to say, I am not where I should be, but I will no longer lie to myself about why. It's easier to scroll, to numb. Asterisk, to live half asleep, waiting for permission to be powerful. But power isn't handed to you. It's chosen. Asterisk, you wake up. You decide. You execute. Asterisk, when you don't feel like it. Again. When you're scared. When you're doubted, you do it anyway. And that's where God shows up. God isn't thunder. God is discipline. Asterisk, and discipline is the quietest form of faith. Let's stop pretending this is about motivation. Motivation is a spark. You don't build cities with sparks. You build with steel. You build with vision hammered by discipline. With the echo of, I will not quit forged into every wall of your life. Look at Carnegie. A poor Scottish immigrant with nothing but sweat and obsession. Asterisk, he didn't find success. He became it. He created steel, not just in factories, but in his heart. He lost more elections than he won, buried his children, fought depression like it was a dragon with no name. Walt Disney. Asterisk, fired for lacking imagination. Slept on studio floors, broke, mocked, invisible, until he became undeniable. Asterisk, and Lincoln. Run from pain, they rise inside of it. Asterisk, you think God is above pain? No, God is the pain. God is the reason you keep going anyway, Elon. Musk didn't become who he is because he avoided suffering. Asterisk, he became who he is because he used it, but he carried on, because some people don't. Asterisk, because he saw failure not as a wall, but a forge. And that clarity starts when you finally ask, what am I really afraid of? Asterisk, failure. Asterisk, rejection. Asterisk, being laughed at. Or is it the fear that if you really gave it everything, if you burned your excuses? Asterisk, because he realized that clarity doesn't arrive. It is built. If you stopped waiting for validation, if you actually chase the life you were born to live, asterisk, you might fail. and have no one left to blame? That fear is real, but so is the alternative. Asterisk, what if you didn't fail? Asterisk, what if you broke through? Asterisk, what if the voice inside that boy wasn't just his? Asterisk, but yours. Asterisk, begging to speak? You were not born to shrink. You were born to stretch the very edges of what's possible. Asterisk, but stretching hurts, so that who you're meant to be can breathe. Most people avoid that pain. Asterisk, they call it being realistic. They wrap comfort around their fear and wear it like armor. But they don't realize that armor rusts, and rust eats from the inside. God is the moment you don't give up. That means God isn't some distant concept. God is in the late nights when no one sees you. Asterisk, God is in the decision to wake up at 5 a.m. when the world is still dark. Asterisk, God is in the rejection email you answer with. It tears the fabric of who you were. I'll be back. God is in the tremble of your hands when you keep going anyway. Asterisk, the boy said. We've been told too long that faith is a sermon, but real faith is grit. It's choosing purpose over popularity. It's doing the right thing when no one's clapping. It's planting seeds in silence and believing they'll bloom in thunder. The mind is soil. Whatever you plant, it grows. Asterisk, you plant doubt. You harvest decay. You plant courage. You raise empires. Look at Edison. Thousands of failed prototypes. Asterisk, not mistakes. Just bricks in the cathedral of what would become light. Asterisk, he said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. But most people stop at 5. Most stop at 1. Because belief isn't comfortable. It's brutal. It demands. You too bury who you were, so who you are destined to be can rise. You think resilience is just about surviving storms? No. Resilience is building a roof while the storm is still raging. Asterisk. It's working while you bleed. It's smiling while you're stretched. It's laughing in the face of your old limitations and saying you no longer decide who I am. People talk about vision like it's a dream, but vision isn't dreaming. Asterisk. Vision is seeing something that doesn't exist yet and walking toward it like it's already yours. Asterisk. The right. Brothers didn't have degrees, they had bicycles and a refusal to believe that man wasn't meant to fly. Asterisk. Didn't wait for approval. They built wings from obsession. What are you building? Asterisk, are you building anything at all? Because distraction is the great thief of destiny. Every second you spend numbing yourself is a second you could have used to rise, to create, to write your name into the stones of time. Asterisk, the boy didn't just speak about God. He became a conduit for something beyond comprehension, a truth we all carry, but few are willing to claim. The truth that purpose is not found. It's forged, asterisk, in the furnace of pain, in the fire of discipline, in the silence of lonely nights spent building something no one claps for. Yet, and purpose has a scent. You can smell it on the breath of those who are done making excuses. It smells like iron and smoke, like tears dried with calloused hands. Asterisk, like waking up before the alarm because you're no longer sleeping through your life. Asterisk, you want clarity? Stop asking the world for answers. Shut out the noise. Asterisk, silence the screen. Asterisk, and listen. Asterisk, you'll hear a whisper, faint. Dot. Fierce, that's the voice of who you were always meant to become, but you must choose. Asterisk, you can choose distraction, comfort, blame. You can let the algorithm consume your greatness, or you can choose obsession. You can choose vision so sharp it cuts through fear. Asterisk. You can choose mornings that feel like war, nights that feel like surrender, and a life that feels like purpose set on fire. Asterisk. You can choose to become what your bloodline never imagined, to end the cycle, to rebuild the name you carry. Asterisk, to walk into rooms your ancestors never dared to dream of. Don't just walk. Break the door down. Asterisk. Because the world doesn't move for the hesitant. Asterisk, it moves for those who move first. Asterisk, those who aren't afraid to be misunderstood. Asterisk, those who don't beg to be liked. Asterisk, those who understand that legacy isn't inherited. It's built with scars. Son of Elon Musk didn't say anything new, he said. Something eternal. Asterisk. Power, belief, destiny, they've never lived in the sky. They've always lived in the moment you refuse to break. Asterisk, refuse to break, and the world bends. Because when your mind becomes unshakable, reality starts to shape itself around your intention. Asterisk, this isn't philosophy. This is physics. Asterisk, the same laws that launch rockets into orbit govern the energy you radiate when you walk into a room with conviction. Asterisk, the law of cause and effect. Doesn't care if you're building a space company or rebuilding your life from rock bottom. Asterisk, it will always reward the one who dares to move first. Asterisk, not the one who waits to be ready, but the one who decides they already are. Ready is a myth. If Edison waited to feel ready, we'd still be living in the dark. Asterisk, if Lincoln waited to be qualified, America would have shattered. If Musk waited to be approved, we'd still believe Mars was a fantasy. But the boy reminded us of something divine. Asterisk, that waiting is just fear wearing a polite face. Asterisk and fear is the oldest liar on earth. It tells you you're not enough. It whispers, they'll laugh at you.
Asterisk.
It shouts, you'll fail. But here's the truth. You will fail. You will be laughed at. You will bleed. Asterisk. And none of it will matter, asterisk, if your why is forged from fire. Asterisk, people love to ask, what if it doesn't work? Asterisk, but the few who change the world ask, what if it does? And that question is the matchstick. It's the flame that turns hesitation into movement. Asterisk. Doubt into dominance. Asterisk, suffering into legacy. But hear me, you don't become legendary by avoiding pain. Asterisk. You become legendary by giving that pain a purpose. Asterisk, Steve Jobs once said, you can't connect the dots looking forward.
Yes.
You can only connect them looking backward. Asterisk, but the ones who win. They don't just connect the dots. They create them. By dot, decision by decision. Each moment of doubt becomes a pinprick of destiny. If you refuse to retreat, asterisk, think of Oprah. Abused, discarded, laughed at, but she didn't drown in it. She rose through it. Asterisk, because she didn't pray for less struggle. She built herself into someone worthy of the storm. Struggle is sacred. Asterisk. It strips away everything you aren't, so only truth remains. Truth doesn't need a stage. Asterisk. It doesn't ask for permission. Asterisk, it speaks in the quiet conviction of a boy who stood on that podium and dismantled centuries of misunderstanding with one sentence. Asterisk, God is the moment you choose not to give up. Asterisk. And if that's true, asterisk, then God is not watching you. God is waiting for you to act, to speak, to become, and the becoming is violent. It tears through comfort. It demolishes who you were yesterday. Because transformation isn't a glow-up. It's a breakdown, a burial of the old story, of the excuses, of the identity you inherited instead of created. No one talks about this. Asterisk, they want the highlight reel, not the horror behind it. Asterisk, but behind every overnight success is a decade of silence. Asterisk, of work no one clapped for. Of days when nothing made sense but quitting wasn't an option. And here's what you need to understand. That silence, that unseen grind, that is sacred ground. Asterisk, because in that quiet, the weak give up. Asterisk, but the chosen. Asterisk, the called. Asterisk. They begin to build. You are not here to admire greatness. You are here to embody it, to become the blueprint. 8. To be the story they tell one day when someone else stands on a stage and says, asterisk, let me tell you about a person, asterisk, who had every reason to stop. Asterisk, and didn't. This is your assignment. Not to chase fame, not to chase followers, but to chase alignment. Asterisk, to lock into the frequency of who you were born to be and never lower the volume again. Asterisk. You don't need another motivational video. Asterisk. You don't need more inspiration. You need a decision. Because once you decide, once you plant your feet and say, I will not go back, everything changes. The world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you who you are when you're no longer faking. Be the person who dares to look fear in the eyes and say, asterisk, I see you. Asterisk, but you don't get to drive anymore. Because when that happens, when you reclaim the wheel of your life, asterisk, you'll realize God was never watching from above. Asterisk, God was in your hands the whole time. You've spent too many years outsourcing your power, asterisk, waiting for someone to say, you're chosen, waiting for a sign, a mentor, a miracle, but the miracle is you all along. You don't need a throne to be a king. You need courage. You don't need applause to be worthy. You need fire. And fire is not given, it's claimed. Claimed in the morning, you get up without motivation. Asterisk, claimed in the heartbreak, you transform into purpose. Asterisk, claimed in the failure you refuse to call final. The world tells you to wait. Wait until you're certain. Wait until it's perfect. Wait until you're not afraid. Asterisk. But those who move the world are the ones who act in spite of fear. Asterisk. They feel it and walk anyway. Because they know fear is a compass. Doesn't mean turn back, asterisk. It means you're getting close. Elon Musk didn't wait to be understood. He didn't wait for SpaceX to feel safe. Asterisk, he poured every dollar, every cell of his being into a vision that made people laugh until it launched. Asterisk, because that's what real vision does. Asterisk, It threatens the small-minded. It confuses the crowd. It terrifies the average. But you were not born for average. Average is inherited. Greatness is chosen. And that choice is made when no one's looking. Asterisk. In the stillness, in the struggle, when you could retreat, but don't. That is the spark that reshapes the universe. People think God lives in churches, in temples, in chants. Asterisk. But sometimes. God lives in the moment you open your laptop and build the business no one believes in. God lives in the breath you take before the cold shower that rewires your brain. Asterisk. God lives in the final rep at the gym, when your muscles scream and your mind says, one more. Discipline is devotion. Discipline is divinity. Asterisk. And you can't pray for success while worshiping distraction. Asterisk. You can't become something new without killing something old. So yes, this will hurt. You will lose things. Comfort. Friends who don't grow. Asterisk. Parts of yourself you thought you needed, but loss is sacred. Because what falls away reveals what was real all along. Asterisk. That voice inside, the one you silence. When you're around people who don't dream, asterisk, that voice is truth. It is God in your bones. And it's tired of whispering. It wants to roar, but to hear it, must get quiet. Not comfortable. Quiet. Turn down the noise of comparison. The mental junk food. Asterisk. The endless. Validation-seeking. Asterisk. You were not designed to consume. You were designed to create. Tesla didn't just build machines. Asterisk. He built ideas so far ahead. The world still hasn't caught up. Asterisk. But you think you need permission to start your side hustle? Ford revolutionized movement, but you can't send one cold email? Asterisk. Disney drew a mouse on a napkin and built an empire. Asterisk. But you're still convincing yourself you're not creative. No. Enough. This ends today. Because you don't need more potential. Asterisk. You need a standard. Asterisk. A line you will not cross. Not downwards. It's only upwards. Asterisk. A commitment to never again play small for the comfort of those who fear expansion. Let them watch. Let them misunderstand you. Asterisk. Let them call you obsessed, tense, arrogant. Because one day they'll call you undeniable. Asterisk. But don't do it to prove them wrong. Asterisk. Do it because you finally love yourself enough to build yourself. Every great man and woman, every icon carved into the mountain of time, understood one thing. Asterisk. There is no plan. B. There is only belief. And belief is a discipline. Asterisk. A posture you choose, especially when the world doesn't clap. Asterisk. You think clarity comes first. Clarity comes second. First comes commitment. Asterisk. You show up again and again. And the path builds itself beneath your feet. But only after you step. And that's what the boy was really saying. Asterisk. He wasn't just talking about God. Asterisk. He was reminding us of something we've forgotten. That the divine doesn't arrive. It awakens. Asterisk. And it doesn't awaken when you feel ready. It awakens when you move. When you decide. Asterisk. When you finally declare. I am done negotiating with fear. I am done waiting for someone to save me. Asterisk. I'm done dimming my fire because it makes others uncomfortable. That's when everything shifts. That's when doors open. Asterisk. Not because they were locked, but because you never tried to push. So push. Push like your name depends on it. Asterisk. Push like your future children are watching. Asterisk. Push like God is on the other side of that wall, just waiting to see if you still believe. Asterisk. Because he is belief, isn't what you say. Asterisk. It's what you do when nothing is guaranteed. Asterisk. You want faith? Try risking your name on something no one claps for. Try building when the world says that'll never work. Asterisk. Try staying silent when you could beg for applause, and instead, you just keep hammering away. Because God doesn't live in noise. He lives in alignment, and alignment is rare. It's forged by warriors, not wanderers. Asterisk. The reason most people never find their calling is because they keep calling everything temporary. Asterisk. They flirt with purpose like it's a weekend hobby. Asterisk. But purpose. Purpose is jealous. It demands everything. Asterisk. It will not share you with distractions, with doubt, with mediocrity. Asterisk. You want to awaken something divine in you? Then sacrifice for it. Not your soul, your comfort. Asterisk. Not your character, your laziness, not your values, your excuses. And when you do, the shift begins. You stop asking, what if I fail? Asterisk. You start asking, what if I rise? Asterisk. You stop playing to survive. Asterisk. And start building to transcend. Asterisk. People forget Elon Musk wasn't always a billionaire. Asterisk. He was a boy with books, a misfit, A kid who read for hours, stared at the stars, and believed he could bend reality. But the secret wasn't the money. The secret was identity. He didn't just build Tesla or SpaceX. He built himself, brick by brick, vision by vision, asterisk, day by painful, uncertain, relentless day. And that's what legacy is, self-construction. So the question becomes, what are you building? Asterisk, what version of you is being formed in the dark? Because the world you want will not be handed to you. Must be earned by the version of you who refuses to stay silent, stay safe, stay small. Asterisk, and that version, it lives inside you. It won't awaken through comfort. It's summoned through fire, fire like discipline. Asterisk, discipline. The most sacred form of self-respect. The alarm clock is holy. The calendar is sacred. Asterisk, the routine is spiritual. Warfare against every lie that says you don't need to try today, but you do need to try. You need to bleed for something again. Asterisk. You need to get addicted to progress, not perfection. Progress. Progress is a trap. Progress is momentum, and momentum is divine. Small actions are portals, a single step in. Alignment is more powerful than 1,000 steps in confusion. Asterisk, and you already know what the next step is. You've always known. You just haven't trusted yourself enough to take it. Asterisk. But today, that ends. Because today, you remember, you were born with fire in your bones. You were born with music in your voice. You were born with war in your soul and peace in your purpose. You don't need a stage. You need a standard. You don't need fame. You need focus. And the most dangerous person in the world, asterisk, is the one who doesn't need permission anymore. That's who the boy was. Didn't ask to be heard. He just spoke, and the room listened. Not because of his name. Asterisk, because of his truth. Asterisk. And truth? Truth vibrates at a frequency higher than applause. Shakes the ground under your feet. It cuts through timelines and bloodlines. It wakes up ancestors in their graves and tells them, asterisk, we made it. Asterisk. That's the kind of power that lives. In you, asterisk, the kind that doesn't whisper, it declares. Asterisk, I was made for more. It's not more likes, more legacy, not more validation, more victory. Asterisk, not more comfort, more courage. And courage is messy. It's not Hollywood. It's not clean. Asterisk. It's the trembling hand pressing publish. It's the first client when you feel like a fraud. It's the pitch you make while your voice cracks. Asterisk. It's standing up to your family when they tell you to be realistic. Asterisk. Realistic. Asterisk, was it realistic for Edison to invent light? It's asterisk for Rosa Parks to sit down. Asterisk for Mandela to survive prison and lead a nation? No. It was ridiculous. Let that sink in. Someone will suffer or thrive because of the decisions you make today. That's not pressure. It's privilege to carry power in your choices. To be the first in your family to change the story. Asterisk, to be the one who burns the blueprint of mediocrity and redraws it in fire. You can be that person, but not as you are. Asterisk, as who you were meant to become. The version of you that doesn't hit snooze on life. The version that gets up while others sleep. Who builds when no one claps. Who loves without fear. Who forgives to stay free. Who gives without keeping score. Asterisk, who learns with violent curiosity and adapts like the world is clay in their hands. Asterisk, that's who wins. Because the game isn't fair. It was never meant to be. But unfair doesn't mean unwinnable. It just means you have to play with more heart. Asterisk and heart. Heart is your weapon. It's what they can't measure, can't tax, can't replicate. It's what made Edison a force. Asterisk, what made Harriet Tubman unstoppable. Asterisk, what made Musk build rockets with his last dime and say, if I fail, but I'll die trying. Asterisk, that's not ego. That's calling. Asterisk. And when you answer that call, something shifts. The universe leans in. Doors you never saw begin to crack open. Asterisk. Not because you waited, because you walked. Because you acted while afraid. Asterisk. Because you dared to believe in something. Louder than doubt. This is the law of alignment. Your external world bends to the shape of your internal standard. Asterisk. Low standard. Low results. Asterisk, high standard. Welcome to miracles. But the standard isn't set once. It's set daily in how you talk to yourself, in what you tolerate, in what you build when no one's watching. Greatness isn't in the spotlight. Asterisk. It's in the shadows, in reps no one counts, in books no one sees you read. Asterisk. In plans no one understands until it's too late to stop you. Asterisk. You are either rehearsing your excuses or refining your execution. One builds regret. Asterisk, the other builds rain, and rain doesn't mean controlling others. It means mastering yourself, your emotions, your reactions, your focus. Because when you control your state, you control your outcomes. Control the morning, win the day. Control the breath, tame the storm. Asterisk, control the narrative, rewrite the future. You've been told to be realistic, to play it safe, to not reach too far. But let me ask you this. Asterisk, was it realistic? For a child to stand on a stage and shake the foundations of philosophy with one sentence? No, it was real, and real always sounds ridiculous to the unreal. So be real, be too much, be the one they don't understand, till they can't ignore you. Be obsessed, be inconvenient. Asterisk, be committed at a level that makes average people uncomfortable, because comfort is the enemy of calling, and your calling. It's fire, it's heavy, it's divine, and it's non-negotiable. Asterisk, when you say yes to it, your life will change. Not all at once, but undeniably. Piece by piece, layer by layer, decision by decision, she will rise. Not for clout, asterisk not. For fame, but because something in you knows, I was made for more. And the moment you say that with conviction, with action, with fire, the universe says, finally. Asterisk. That's what the universe whispers when a soul returns to its original design, when a human steps back into alignment. When someone remembers who they are and refuses to forget again. Asterisk, because the greatest betrayal is not what others do. To you, it's what you do to your own potential. It's when you know you were made to build empires, but settle for building routines. Asterisk. It's when the voice inside you begs for impact, and you silence it with comfort. But the boy didn't silence it. He didn't dilute the message. Asterisk. He didn't sugarcoat the truth. Asterisk. He stood there, barely 8 years old, and channeled something eternal. Asterisk. God is the moment you choose not to give up. Not someday. Not when it's easy. Now, God is not a concept. God is a choice. And if that's true, then every breath is sacred. Every morning you rise with discipline is worship. Asterisk, every time you push through fear, through exhaustion, through judgment, you aren't just surviving. You are stepping into the divine. This isn't just about success. This is about awakening. Because one day, it will all go silent. The claps will fade. The trophies will gather dust. The noise will disappear. And there, you'll be asterisk alone. With the only question that ever mattered, asterisk, did I answer the call? Not society's, not my family's. The call that came from inside? Asterisk. The one I heard in the silence. The one that lit up my bones and demanded a new version of me to emerge. Did I answer that call? Asterisk, or did I scroll past it? Asterisk, did I make it wait? Asterisk, did I bury it beneath comfort and tell myself one day? One day is a lie. There's only this day. Asterisk. This breath. This moment where your entire destiny trembles on the edge of a decision. So, what will it be? Asterisk, another excuse. Asterisk, another distraction. Asterisk, another cycle of doubt, delay, disbelief. Or will you decide? Asterisk, will you build? Will you tear the old story down, throw the first brick, asterisk, and carve your legacy with blistered hands and unshakable eyes? Because if you do, if you truly choose to live with fire, you will suffer, but it will be a holy suffering. Asterisk one that sanctifies, not breaks. Asterisk one that resurrects, not destroys. Asterisk, because out of that fire you will rise. Asterisk, scarred, maybe, but real, fully alive, unapologetically powerful, undeniably aligned. Asterisk, in one day. When your child or someone else's asterisk stands on a stage, with trembling hands and wild eyes, and dares to speak truth into a silent world, they'll tell your story. They'll say, he didn't quit. Asterisk, she didn't fold. Asterisk, they built something that changed everything. Because they understood what most forget, that greatness is not given. It is taken one brutal, beautiful step at a time. So rise now. No more delay. No more waiting for clarity, certainty, permission. Let your life become the answer. Let your scars become the sermon. Let your silence become a symphony. Let your action become your legacy. Asterisk, because when it's all said and done, asterisk, when the lights fade and the noise dies and the world stops asking for more from you, you'll look back and smile, not because it was easy, but because it was worth it. You met the fire. Asterisk, you faced the resistance. Asterisk, you became who you were born to be.